Welcome back to the channel. I got a good one today. It is about the Privacy Act online, and then also it is about digital hacking. We have a little bit about 15-minute cities, and then we have just more stuff about AI stuff that's going on, and here and there about other things. So with that being said, I'm not gonna hold you guys up. We're just gonna jump all up into this. Hopefully you guys are liking all this stuff, and again, like, share, hype, do all that stuff, man.
In the UK has been locked down. No, it actually has. It's taken everyone a bit surprised, but now you need ID to access everything from adult sites to Reddit to Discord to even possibly Wikipedia. The whole thing is a real mess and opinions are extremely divided, even mine. Many people have asked whether there should be any kind of identity verification, especially to stop children accessing adult content, and it's always been a very fraught issue. It's always been a bit of a what if. Well, last week in the UK, it became reality. Millions of UK users opened platforms like Reddit, Discord, Blue Sky, and were greeted with a new requirement: age verification. They were like, hey, is this illegal? Hey, it feels illegal. Now, if you don't submit a picture of a government ID or have one of your selfies algorithmically verified, we'll come back to that, as belonging to an adult, then 18 plus content on many platforms will just be inaccessible to you. It's a result of the 2023 Online Safety Act, which aims to protect children and adults online from illegal, harmful, and age-inappropriate content. It's content that I can't actually say out loud, but obviously it's like adult content, any content that promotes harm, any negative content around eating, that kind of stuff. It's specifically aimed to protect children, and on a top surface level, that does seem good. But there are a lot of caveats and weird downsides to this act, with issues around data, privacy, safety risks, including banning Wikipedia. Yes, it sounds like clickbait, but no, the government wants to label Wikipedia as a Category 1 site, which is the top category in terms of severity.
Just the last couple of weeks alone, the UK passed a bill that requires everyone to prove their age if they want to access certain sensitive content, which includes apps like Reddit, Discord, X, and Blue Sky. YouTube announced that they'll begin to use AI to estimate the age of users in the US so that they can add safeguards to the videos they are recommended. Spotify is rolling out age verification in the UK, which could lead to your account being permanently deleted if you fail the checks. Xbox is rolling out age verification to the players in the UK who have their date of birth on their account set as over 18. And Australia has just backtracked and added YouTube to the list of social media apps that will be permanently banned to everyone under the age of 16 in December. Yeah, and while this all feels very sudden, this is actually the result of years of political pushing to make the internet safer for kids. Currently, in the United States, 24 states have passed online age verification legislation. Canada recently reintroduced age verification bill S-209. France passed similar legislation last year, only for it to be suspended while they investigate whether it matches up with EU legislation. Point is, while the vast majority of people support making the internet less harmful for minors, to make that actually happen, everyone needs to prove their age, not just kids. And so privacy concerns still need to be addressed. But either way you look at it, it seems like the days of using the internet freely, especially if you're under 18, are numbered.
A powerful weapon any government can use to crush dissent is to restrict what you're allowed to say. In Orwell's 1984, the government didn't simply control your words, it watched you speak them. And in 2025, the UK has just passed sweeping new laws, supposedly to protect children online. But underneath the hood, it's a blueprint for censorship, a shift from privacy to permission, from open access to surveillance. And to absolutely nobody's surprise, this isn't only happening in the UK. Australia is next this coming December. Similar laws are taking shape in parts of the US. And if you think this won't reach your country, you haven't been paying attention. The premise of this law is rather dystopian, because the Online Safety Act doesn't only enforce age checks, it hands extraordinary power to Ofcom, a body that, until now, mostly dealt with broadcast standards and telecoms. It can demand changes to how platforms operate, force sites to remove or restrict access to content, and even order ISPs to block websites entirely. with court approval. The real danger isn't simply in the enforcement, it's in the discretion. While the government says this is about protecting children, the Act gives Ofcom the authority to decide what counts as harmful, how platforms must deal with it, and how strictly they have to apply age gates. See where this is going? On top of defining what is in fact harmful, the Secretary of State can direct Ofcom to revise its codes of practice at any time in the name of public policy or national security, and platforms are legally obliged to follow how it actually works. If a platform hosts a significant amount of this so-called priority content, it now has a legal obligation to block under 18s from accessing it. That means they have to verify your age with proof, and the law doesn't only apply to sites. It applies to social platforms like Reddit and X, which now asks UK users to upload a passport or a live selfie through third-party firms before viewing certain content. If a site doesn't comply, it faces fines of up to £18 million or 10% of its global revenue. In some cases, Ofcom, the UK's media regulator, can even order the entire site to be blocked. So now, a growing number of sites are responding in one of two ways. Either they start forcing users to verify their identity using face scans or ID uploads, or they can block UK users entirely to avoid the legal and financial risk. This brings me to privacy. These age checks aren't handled by the platforms themselves. They're outsourced to verification companies like Yoti, KWS and Persona, private firms you've probably never heard of. These companies collect, process and verify sensitive data. They say they delete it after a few days, but you don't get to choose your provider and you don't really know where your data goes.
Deemed legal or not is effectively being handed to the tech companies, because it's not retail staff. It's not retail staff. It's not retail staff who make a determination about who to arrest and who not to. It is the police who do that, and then it's the judiciary who then make a call on it. And I will say this too, as someone who's run a business, right? If you create a perverse incentive, which is what this bill does, look at the penalties, 10% of global revenues. These are global platforms of which the UK is an infinitesimal proportion of their revenue. Look at the penalty for management, potential jail time. If you create those perverse incentives, what are they going to do? They're going to be over-censorious. They're going to be overzealous. Why? Because that is the rational thing to do. Anyone who is not, it isn't Elon Musk himself who makes these decisions. It is AI algorithms. It is AI algorithms. It is AI algorithms that make these decisions. It is AI algorithms that make these decisions writ large. And what you are now doing, if you don't trust the tech companies, then this is the last act that you would want to support, because what has happened now is it is Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and every social media magnate that will make a determination as to what British people can or cannot see, because you have created legislation here that says any content that is, quote, legal but harmful must be taken down, lest the management teams face jail.
The internet just ended anonymous browsing forever. Reddit, Discord, X, and Blue Sky now require government ID to prove you're over 18 for certain content. Here's what's terrifying. These sites use third-party companies to store your ID photos, and they're already getting hacked. One identity verification service used by TikTok, Uber, and X left user information and driver's license photos exposed for months. 404 Media found the breach. There's no standardization. Every site uses different companies with different security standards. Some promise to delete your data in 7 days, others no guarantee at all. But it gets worse. The Supreme Court just ruled in 2025 that adults have no First Amendment right to avoid age verification. Your Reddit comments tied to your driver's license. Your Discord chats tied to your real name. Anonymous browsing is
set to quietly introduce unprecedented age verification checks for search engines such as Google, without the consent of the Australian people. What started as concern for children on social media has rapidly expanded to mandatory, wide-ranging, biometric age checking across the digital landscape. For what reason? Safety? I don't buy that. I'm sure you don't believe it. Instead of waiting to see how the under-16 social media ban goes, if it works, if it's possible, if it helps, if the public rejects it, instead of waiting, they're already trying to push through an entire framework of nanny state, privacy-destroying restrictions on the internet. Google and Microsoft will implement age assurance technology. Sounds good, doesn't it? Age assurance technology, under threat of a $50 million fine. This verification will be used to automatically censor an unspecified range of content. Some of it adult, a lot of it not adult. There's no provision to prevent this default age-centered censorship extending to so-called misinformation and disinformation. They could hide anything from the search results. Did you vote for that? Enough is enough. We need to have a talk about digital overreach and the misuse of child safety as a means to control access to the digital world.
So, what is good? So you made it to the middle. Again, thank you. Hopefully you're having fun. Please comment if you're liking it. I want to know what's in your brain. I want to have a conversation with you. I always encourage this. Please hype if you can. Man, this is some crazy stuff, y'all. Some crazy stuff. It's just going to get more crazy. Believe me, as you go thicker into this, man, so I'm not going to keep you any longer.
Online Safety Act. You are on the side of predators. That is what a UK government MP tweeted last night. And I swear to God, this might be the most deranged, manipulative bullshit that I've seen this government spew out yet. Calling your own citizens predators just because they dare to criticise your shiny new surveillance Trojan horse, that is not governance. That's like a toddler throwing a tantrum whilst they're holding the nuclear codes. It is straight up regime language. You don't support our law? Well, then you must be evil. You question us? Well, clearly you want to see children harmed. According to this guy, that makes me a sympathizer now because I don't want to scan my face every time I want to look at Wikipedia. It is a cheap, cynical move. Wrap a bad law in it, but think of the children, and anyone who disagrees can be branded a monster. Classic authoritarian playbook. But the reality is that the people pushing back on this act aren't predators. They're parents, they're tech experts, and they're privacy advocates. They're just ordinary citizens who understand what this law actually is. A massive fucking power grab dressed up as safety. This law gives the state and unaccountable third parties access to your data, your face, your emails, and your private encrypted messages. And because the government knows that, their response isn't to address the criticism, it's to smear anyone raising the alarm. Because if they admitted that the act threatens free speech, privacy, and basic civil rights, the whole thing falls apart. So instead, they weaponize shame. If you disagree, you're with the predators. And the dangerous part is, once a government starts branding anyone who disagrees as the problem, the whole thing falls apart. Today it might be support the Online Safety Act or you're with the predators, but tomorrow it might be support the surveillance law or you're with the terrorists. Fuck that, fuck this narrative, and fuck a government that's so drunk on power that it thinks that it can blame anyone who disagrees with any of their laws, a sympathizer, and get away with it.
Unsurprisingly, the fallout began almost instantly. Wikipedia was one of the major platforms to push back. The Wikimedia Foundation refused to implement age checks, arguing it would violate the anonymity and privacy of its global volunteer editors. Instead of complying, they threatened legal action against Ofcom. Meanwhile, other platforms didn't fight. They just shut the doors. They've made it clear they would rather lose the UK audience entirely than risk multi-million-pound fines or hand over their users' personal data to verification brokers. So what did people do? They did what anyone under a surveillance regime tries first. They looked for the exit, and that exit was a VPN. The day the Online Safety Act took effect, VPN downloads in the UK exploded.
What we actually haven't talked about here is this act makes children less safe. The evidence of that is 4 of the top 5 most downloaded apps in the Apple App Store as we speak are VPNs. These are virtual networks that allow children to spoof their location anywhere in the world. The 13 to 16-year-olds, anyone who's encountered a 13 to 16-year-old these days will tell you they will run rings around most baby boomers who draft this legislation.
Proton VPN, a privacy-focused provider, saw an 1800% spike in sign-ups and downloads overnight, jumping straight to number 1 on the UK App Store, ahead of TikTok, WhatsApp, and even ChatGPT. Other providers like NordVPN and ExpressVPN also reported 10x surges in UK traffic. By the weekend, half of the top 10 apps on the App Store were...
I warn you about government overreach and shady corporations all day long, but you want to be mad at like one person. You want like to point your finger at one guy and go like, this is all your fault. Well, luckily there is a guy for that. It's Peter Thiel.
I think you would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would...
Yeah, that right there, that's Peter Thiel. And everything we talked about today leads right to him. If you use Persona to verify your age before you watch some... That information belongs to Peter Thiel now, whose founders fund is one of the largest investors in the company. When your kids take photos of themselves so they can use voice chat in Roblox, Roblox uses Persona as well. So Peter Thiel's got photos of your kids, dude. Hey, do you want to see footage on Reddit of the Jen and God? Well, Reddit uses Persona for age verification, so Peter Thiel now knows that you're a little troublemaker, and you're going to be classified as such in his Foundry system, and then the next Waymo you take is going to go off a fucking bridge. I'm just saying, it's all Peter Thiel. who wants to create a police state so that democracy doesn't get in the way of his stupid fucking mission to live forever or whatever. And the only way to get there is to create infrastructure that tracks everybody's movements online so that you can infinitely control them. That's what all of this is about. And you can blame Peter Thiel.
Antichrist would take over the world is you talk about Armageddon nonstop. You talk about existential risk nonstop. And this is what you need to regulate. And this is where, I don't know, in the 17th century, I can imagine a Dr. Strangelove, Edward Teller type person taking over the world. In our world, it's far more likely to be Greta Thunberg.
I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done. The irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival.
There are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing. Is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safetyism? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety, and we've submitted.
What the fuck was Cuz talking about?
Never win an election on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
That's tech billionaire and Republican megadonor Peter Thiel. He's basically saying that his political ideology is so unappealing that it'll never win elections. And that's one thing he's right about, because he's railed against women having the right to vote. But he knows that he can use technology as a unilateral alternative to politics, and that should really freak you out. Thiel is one of the co-founders and biggest investors in Palantir, a CIA-funded technology company that has contracts across the government for their data software. Here's their CFO speaking a few years ago.
We continue to advance our mission of becoming the U.S. government's central operating system as we extend our footprint across defense, healthcare, and civilian agencies.
And this is the CEO.
The central risk to Palantir and America and the world is a regressive way of thinking that is corrupting and corroding our institutions, that calls itself progressive, but actually, and is called woke, but is actually a form of a thin pagan religion.
Are these the people you want running the systems you rely on, or worse, the systems that surveil you?
Are we just becoming China? Is that the plan here? Just mass surveillance on everybody? Recently, I was just in China, and some of what I saw was pretty good. Some not so good. Okay, this is where we're headed, except without the nice trains and without the free healthcare. We're talking about the creation of a biometric surveillance state with predictive algorithms. Quote, a new report shines light on contracts with tech company Palantir, which would create data profiles of Americans to surveil and harass them.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am. Let's not talk to analysts about the burden of being right. Our burdens of investing in ontology, our burdens of actually looking at the math. Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
Except here, the enemy is literally the American people. I tweeted this out the other day saying that it should be very alarming that the same company that's tracking terrorists abroad is now tracking us at home. Starting to feel like maybe they think we're the enemy. What are your thoughts?
Economic Times reported that, quote, Palantir isn't just improving old databases, it's building what some experts are calling the most expansive civilian surveillance infrastructure in U.S. history. Instead of scattered files and spreadsheets, the platform will use real-time data integration and artificial intelligence to profile behavior, detect fraud, and identify individuals or patterns deemed risky by the system. At the core of the project is Palantir's Gotham software. Already used by defense and intelligence agencies, Gotham will now be used on the domestic front. It doesn't just track track information, it makes judgments. It could influence everything from how benefits are distributed to who gets flagged for closer scrutiny by law enforcement or immigration officers. So good, they're deploying military surveillance AI to watch our every move and decide who the government should bug. And by bug, I mean investigate, harass, arrest, and probably more.
Financial data, travel data, what you say on social media, etc. So if you want access to your health data, you'll have to pay some corporation somewhere in the world to get access to it.
Far out. Wow.
And that then leads the way into a central bank digital currency.
Yes.
And then that leads to social credit.
Yes.
That also leads to 15-minute cities. Because in London right now, if you're not driving an electric vehicle, then you have to pay tax if you go so far. It's a fine, but it's called a tax. It's a fine. And if you don't pay, it escalates for every day you haven't paid it. So that's basically a 15-minute city right now. So what we'll have is not fences and roadblocks, but we'll have cameras. This
is the modern jail. This is the modern prison.
Right. So what was passed through the Senate, we opposed it. Very few people opposed it. Pauline Hanson, myself, I think the usual culprits, Antic and Babette and Rennick. What they can do now, identity verification bill. It's gone through the Senate. It enables the use of cameras for biometric data, facial recognition. The New South Wales government has said that they're setting up cameras all over the place, so they'll be able to assess a driver to find out whether or not he's got a driver's
15-minute city mean basically a neighborhood where you can reach everything you need within a 15-minute foot walk. A doctor, grocery store, and so forth. However, if you now fancy another store and that does not happen to be in your neighborhood, you won't be going to that store anymore. Total controls, what we're talking about. Once they decide you're no longer allowed to leave your 15-minute immediate area, they don't have to fence it in or anything. It will be done via digital ID.
With a social credit system, kind of
something like that.
Compliance.
Yes. And there's pilot project already going on in Bologna. It's called the Bologna Wallet, and in Vienna it's called the Vienna Token. It's voluntary for now, and it's only pretty much enticing people to get some ticket for a little less or something like that, to go to theater, something like that. But soon there will be a time you don't have a choice anymore. You have to have a digital green certificate.
15-minute cities is something that the WEF has created called C40, and it's called C40 cities. I would urge you to certainly look on the internet about it. Basically, you won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car anymore. You'll have to buy electric. If you want food, you will get a calorie-controlled system sent to you by text saying, this is what you can eat today. This is what you can have today. If you violate any of these things, they'll freeze your bank account. That is the next step. These are stages in which they're going to implement this stuff. And this was signed up by the WEF, and the WEF has signed up with our mayor in London as the chair, and he has gone around the world to communicate this C40 to all of the countries in the world, and most of the countries are looking at adopting it. Now, I am going to abolish it. It is a hopeless position. We are going to be in an open prison for the rest of our lives. We will not be able to work unless it's in our 15-minute city. It's diabolical. It's not right. This is not the right thing. And it's been hidden from the public. No one's talking about it.
2019. What a beautiful time. The UN proposed this Agenda 2030. It was agreed upon by every nation in the world, but a big part of it is surveillance. Red flag, I would say. So under Agenda 2030, many goals like renewable energy, smart cities, and digital ID were implemented. This one freaked me out. The World Economic Forum, biggest advocates for global digital identity infrastructure. So basically, everyone will have a biometric ID attached to them now.
Wow.
So wherever you travel in the world, biometrically, you can be identified. This is all in the hopes of like making the world a better place. Part of the Agenda 2030 that World Economic Forum were involved in, it's called the Great Reset.
Right, which we've heard of.
World Economic Forum launched the Great Reset Initiative, and their catchphrase for this whole Great Reset was, you will own nothing and be happy.
Yes, this officially is happening?
It's been implemented. And that's why there's all these natural disasters are being taken over by the government, like this land. So like in Canada, all these places where there's these wildfires, it's like, well, this isn't a safe place for anyone to live. So now the government owns it, and now you have to move into the city that we're going to make into a smart city.
Carolinas as well.
Yeah.
Agenda 21 is kind of a code name for a master plan originated at the United Nations to change the political and economic system of the world to one of total collectivism. And in order to do that, people must not be allowed to have independence. They must be dependent on the state for everything. Otherwise, they won't be easily controlled by the state. That means they can't have private property, mostly. They cannot have land of their own. They have to live in preferably high-rise apartments that are provided to them by the state as a benefit, so to speak. Oh, good, we got a free apartment. But these people at the top want all humans to be dependent on the largesse of the state. That means that they don't want anybody living out in the boonies. Anybody that's got a couple of acres of land and his own water supply and can grow his own food and that kind of thing, or have some sheep or some chickens, these people are a threat to the collectivist society, because they aren't going to go to the politicians and say, please feed me, please clothe me, please give me shelter. They tend to be independent. That's the secret behind Agenda 21. They want people out of the country. They want corporations out there growing all the food and that kind of thing, but they don't want anybody living out there, because that way they cannot be controlled. In order to control mankind, we have to get them all into the big cities. We have to rack them up and stack them up, get them dependent on the state for their food, their shelter, their electrical power, their water, everything. That's the dirty secret behind Agenda 21.
Man, this one was super crazy. Like, when I watched it, my main things is like the 15-minute cities and the digital IDs and the digital currency and all that. That's my main thing, man. Like, and then just the control. How everything in the world is starting to really, is being controlled. And like, we are being shown this more and more and more. And it's just, most people just don't care, I guess, or something, or they just look to the other side of the fence like, hey, it's still green over there. Like, you can still look and see that it's green, but it's not going to change anything, it's just something that I stress, that does not happen. Is the 15-minute cities and the digital IDs and the being followed and the being watched by someone else that you do not know, even though you were born into a planet and into a life that you are not even you're not given anything. You are not accepted, or you did not accept a agreement to work your whole life. Like I always ask people, why do we have to work our whole lives to achieve anything that we want in a life that we was born from the very beginning free? Why do we have to literally pay for everything in our life when we are born free? I say this twice because we are born free. So why do we have to sit here and pay to live, pay to have a house, pay to eat, pay for, entertainment? It's all a big game. It's all a big scheme of a bigger cog that it just keeps going and going, and that's a bigger subject, more of a subject to do a live on and have a big conversation about it. I want to keep it to a minimum of what I'm trying to say. But in general, man, hopefully everybody that comes in, watches it and everything, make it here to the end. I want to say thank you again. I always say thank you. I am always humble for anybody that watches anything that I do. Hopefully you learned something from this and you gained a little brains watching this, and maybe you got spooked out a little bit. You know, you got some type of entertainment out of it, because that's the other point of my channel is, you know, just entertainment. I'm trying to entertain someone, make somebody happy, make somebody forget about the world in a sense. Even though I'm showing people, you know, the bad sides and the crazy side and the mysterious side, you know, it's still entertainment. You can still lose yourself by watching it. But yeah, like I was saying, just I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully you have a wonderful day, whoever you are, wherever you are. Peace. What is up? What is up? What is up? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day, whoever you are, wherever you are. I always say, stay to the positive, never to the negative. Always remember that. Go up in the day, baby. You play, you only get one life to live. You better live it for today. That's facts. Stay ablaze, stay amazing, stay true, stay you. No matter what you're doing.